Most people are convinced that bears sleep in caves, but there is no scientific proof to back up this claim. No one knows for sure whether or not bears actually sleep in caves. We've been told from a very young age that bears sleep in caves, but this is merely an urban myth. Look at the way we're all expected to spend our lives cooped up indoors waiting for the sun. Can you really blame bears for wanting to get away from us? Let's take a look at the science behind this near-mythical bear sleeping practices, and see what we can find out about their lives in any forest. We have many interesting topics about animals on our channel. Don't forget to subscribe and like to get new video. Also, you can find beautiful fine art with reasonable prices in the link below. Don't miss it. Do bears really sleep in caves? The question of whether bears actually sleep in caves is still up for debate. In the case of bears, most people would answer that bears do not sleep in caves. This is because they are too large and their bellies would not fit in these cave holes. However, there still remains a chance that they could be mistaken, and this could be the truth. Do bears really sleep in caves? Many people believe that bears hibernate during winter time, during which they go into dens. They get a period of rest while their body temperature goes down to prevent further energy loss. Bears are creatures of wide-ranging habitats, and they have adapted to various climates. Bears do not hibernate, they go into dens. Bears do not have a period of rest, they get a period of slow migration while their body temperature goes down. Bears are an animal that is found in various climates and habitats the world over. Bears go into dens during hibernation, they do not have a period of rest. Bears are not vulnerable to parasites because they don't sleep with their nose on the ground. Different types of hibernation and their effects on bears. Hibernation is a natural phenomenon that many animals undergo during winter months. Bears, for example, enter a state of deep sleep to survive the cold temperatures and reduced food availability in winter months. Deep hibernation leads to an increase in body temperature and metabolism, lowering the bear's heart rate and breathing rate by up to 50%. While prolonged hibernation can lead to death or starvation if the bear lacks the energy necessary to wake up. Prolonged hibernation can only happen if bears are provided with enough energy while they are in this state, which is achieved through eating during their hibernation period. This particular type of hibernation has been observed in populations of brown bears within Alaska and Canada's Yukon Territory. Bears are typically known as hibernators, but there are different types of hibernation that can affect the bear depending on the circumstances. The effects of hibernation on bears both before and after is important to know for encounters. Fur. The amount of fur a bear has is related to the temperature in its environment. Bears living in colder climates typically have more fur than those who live in warmer climates. Type. There are two types of hibernating that bears can go into: torpor and estivation. Sleeping hibernation. This type of hibernating occurs when a bear will enter into a deep sleep for days or weeks at a time, which requires little energy from the bear, and it will remain hidden from others during this time. Bear hibernation stages and how it's determined by the weather. Different times of hibernation can vary depending on the bear's metabolism. Hibernation usually occurs in October and November, but some bears hibernate every month. When bears decide to hibernate, they do so because they need less food during hibernation, and they are not bothered by the cold weather. Bear hibernation stages and how it's determined by the weather. Every year, bears hibernate for the winter. This is because hibernation helps them prepare for the cold weather. They lower their body temperature and slow down their metabolism to conserve energy. In order to do this, bears need a place that is safe from predators and humans. In most cases, brown bears will go into a deep sleep or torpor during winter months. During this time they will remain inactive until springtime, when they wake up and eat a lot of food in preparation for breeding season in early summer. Female brown bears will usually give birth to 1 or 2 cubs each year between late July and September, while male brown bears typically stay out of sight until mating season begins in August. How long does bear hibernation last, and what are some other ways to keep them active? Bears hibernate during the winter months. Unlike other animals, they do not need to eat or drink throughout the hibernation season. They sleep for 5 to 10 continuous days each month in their dens, and then wake up once it starts to warm again in the spring. Some ways that people can keep bears active while they are hibernating include running them on treadmills, keeping them in an enclosure-type area, or using a play pen with a tube running out that connects to sunlight. Other ways that bear owners can make their bears more active is by feeding them a diet rich in protein and fat during hibernation. For example, providing salmon or raw eggs would be ideal for this time of year. The hidden secrets of bears: what does a bear do and where do they live? Bears are mammals that belong to the Ursidae family. They are covered in fur with short, stocky legs for a very quick burst of speed when running. Bears also have rounded ears and a flat nose. Bears sleep for about 18 hours per day, making them one of the few animals that show no circadian rhythm. Because they live in trees, bears have large paws with huge claws which help them when climbing or scratching off parasites from their skin. The Hidden Secrets of Bears is an illustrated book that provides detailed information on all things bears and their habits, where they live, what they eat, and how they act in different parts of their habitats. The different types of bears in the wild and their behavior. Bears are one of the most adaptable animals in the wild. They can exist in a variety of environments and can be found all over the world. Their range includes forests, plains, mountains, and deserts. Bears are carnivores, but they are omnivores in nature. They eat fruits, vegetables, insects, and other small animals like skunks and porcupines, as well as eggs from birds. They are a social animal that live together with their family members to form communities called Ursidae groups or packs led by an alpha male and female bear. Bears have been known to attack humans without warning if they feel threatened, or attack humans if they feel necessary for survival or protection from another animal's territory. The 5 different types of bears include black bears, brown bears, grizzly bears, polar bears, and sun bears. Where bears actually spend all their time. Bears are well known for their time spent outside in the summer. They're generally seen as a lazy animal that spends all its time in the leafy getaway. But on the contrary, they are surprisingly productive during this time of year and have a lot to do. Bears spend most of their day moving around looking for food and finding places to sleep, while they also do some pretty intricate things like playing with sticks and rocks. The bears wake up at dawn and then keep up a relatively fast pace throughout the day. They're always on the lookout for food sources, so they might spend some hours just eating out of trees or fishing without catching anything until later, when they might catch lunch or dinner before finally settling down for a nap, frequently about 5 p.m. What to know before hiking with a bear in the wilderness. Bears are not usually dangerous, but it is a good idea to know what to do in case of an encounter. There are some precautions that you should take before hiking with a bear. It is never a good idea to taunt, threaten, or surprise a wild animal for any reason. You should also make sure that you keep your distance from the bear, at least 100 yards if possible. If the bear notices you and starts coming towards you, then you should back away slowly and retreat until it feels comfortable enough for it to go back about its business. If the bear does not respond or continues approaching, then you will have to use your bear spray to defend yourself. There are a few things you must know before hiking with a bear in the wilderness. For example, bears are not always aggressive, and you must keep your distance from them to avoid any incidents. The Wilderness Act of 1964 is an act of the United States Congress which established the National Wilderness Preservation System and created a system to provide for the permanent protection of wild free-roaming horses in Alaska. What is the best way to protect yourself from a grizzly attack? The best way to protect yourself from a grizzly attack is by making noise and being aggressive with the bear. Making noise will usually scare away the bear, but if that doesn't work, it's time to pick up an object like a rock or branch and hit the bear in the nose. When you are attacked by a grizzly, don't run away because that will just encourage it more. Try to make yourself as big as possible so that the bear feels less threatened. If you are wearing a backpack, put it down immediately so that if you have to defend yourself with it, you will have something to grab onto. Otherwise, try to push your attacker away from your face with your hands or feet. You can also try kicking its nose in case of close proximity. Be prepared for your next trip with these tips on surviving in the wild. When traveling, some people might forget to bring the essentials such as water and food. However, a new trend has emerged. People are now packing survival kits that include these important items. We should not think of these survival kits as a replacement for what you should bring when you go out on a trip. They are just extra precautions in case something goes wrong with your preparations or your plans change last minute. You could also use this type of kit in case of natural disasters when it is not clear what will happen and you don't know where to go or what to do next. With the help of a good book and these tips, you can prepare for your next outdoor journey. A good book can be used as a compass to find your way out. Food and water should always be on hand. Make sure that you have the appropriate tools and equipment for your trip. Be aware of the different dangers that can be found in the wild, such as poisonous animals and landmines. Conclusion: for do bears really sleep in caves? Yes, they actually sleep in caves, but not all of them.